Hey, how you doing, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here at The Good Doctor YouTube channel. I am Dr. Sean Michael Greener. You can learn more about me and what I do at www.executiveprotectionteam.com. That's executiveprotectionteam.com. You know that if you're at this site or you're reviewing this, that there was one video prior to this that we talked about the decision making that surrounds deadly force, rendering deadly force, what you should do, what you should think about in advance. We received so many questions, literally pages and pages of questions, that we felt like right as the election was drawing near, and it's what, a week and a half away, that we should answer some of those questions for people to give them an idea of what they should do, to cover the bases that they had. First of all, I want to give you this information. I'm going to give it to you again throughout. SecondCallDefense.org. SecondCallDefense.org. Write this number down, 20630. 20630. We're going to talk more about that in a second. It's going to be a much faster video, so don't panic. I'm going to talk faster. Remember, you can rewind on your computer. And please share this with a friend. You can follow me at Twitter at The Ninja Pastor, on Parler at SM Greener, Facebook, facebook.com/SM Greener, yada yada, DrSeanGreener.com, all that stuff. So the questions we got were really good questions. Personal security at elections and after, big topic, hence the reason for this video. Chief asked, but by the way, if you didn't see the last video that we did, that's 36 minutes long. If you didn't see that, I would encourage you after you watch this video, or maybe you stop this video, you go back and you watch that one, and then watch this one. That's longer for a reason. You'll understand the reason. But a lot of the decision making that we talk about in this is addressed in that, as far as how to make those decisions, what you need to do. So Chief asked, I have COVID concerns. I'm worried about my safety from a COVID standpoint. I'll answer that this way. It's a good question. It's the number one question among older folks that we received, or people that have other health issues. So I say it this way. There's a couple different ways to do it. If you're willing, if you have an absentee ballot that's been set to you, I'm not talking about a mail-in ballot, I'm talking about absentee ballot. If you have a valid absentee ballot, you could fill that out today, drive it to your post office today, and take it inside and put it in the inside slot. That's one way to do it. If you can and you don't have it by now, I don't think, quite frankly, it's probably going to be processed in time. But that's a chance that if you're willing to take, I guess everybody's does their own thing. Obviously, if you have concerns about COVID and you want to go vote in person, which I love that, I love the experience of that. Mask, wear a mask if you're a mask person. Wash your hands. Have some hand sanitizer in your pocket. But I do want to say this really quickly. The Iraqis, when they had their first democratic election in the history of the country, when they voted, they had to put their thumbprint in purple. They had to dip their thumb in purple ink and put it on the ballot, and then they would walk around with this ink that was very difficult to wash off. They risked being executed for voting. What are you willing to risk? I'm going to talk more about that in question number 5. Amanda asked, as far as absentee ballots, how do I make sure it's counted? I kind of touched on that a second ago, but one of the things that you can do is fill it out, no stray marks, don't write anything on it, don't jot anything down, keep it very secure. You want to take that very, very seriously because it's an official document. You want to mark the boxes fully, right? You want to mark them fully. You want to mark them obviously with an indelible pen. An ink pen of any sort would be good, but you want to make sure that it's fully marked. Don't use a pencil, whatever you do. So you want to do that and then take it to the post office. Inside most post offices, you come through the main doors, there's slots there for mail. Just put them in the slot. You don't have to go up to the counter, you don't have to stand in line, just put them in the slot. When you go and do that, I wouldn't wear any political paraphernalia of any sort, just be benign. So going to vote, that was the second biggest question. First of all, I'm going to say this, and I was law enforcement years ago. I love many law enforcement people. I'm close with the law enforcement, both federal and local and regional. I have great respect for them, I admire them, but they are outnumbered and they're outgunned. They can't help you. So put that out of your mind. I'm just going to dial 911 with my phone that I've got constantly attached to me. I'm going to dial 911 and everything's going to be fine. In the last video, I talked about that. The phone cannot save you. So you got to put that out of your head. You have to be independent in what you do. You have to think for yourself. First things first, you're going to dress benign. Remember what I said. Dress benign. Don't give an indication of which way you're voting, leaning, any of that stuff. Before you leave your home, take down your yard signs. People have asked me, hey, why is there no violence at a Trump rally? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and one of the reasons is not what people think. Well, there's a massive Secret Service presence there. The Secret Service and the police officers that are there are not there to protect you. They're there to protect the president, and the president alone. That's all about the president, not about you. If something goes down, they're not working to protect you. They're not putting their lives on the line to protect you. They're putting their lives on the line. They're working to protect the president. That's not the reason there's a lot of safety at Trump rallies. The reason that 30 or 40 or 50,000 people can gather at a Trump rally is because they travel in large groups. Large groups of determined grown folk. So what can you do? If you want to vote, if you want to go to the poll and vote, organize a rally. Organize a rally to vote. Find a central location where you can all park your cars and then gather up, get in the car. Now I know a lot of people say, well, that's not social distancing. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. 99% of the people out there that you're around, that you're going to think the same, and you're going to vote the same, that have these concerns, you're not concerned about that. You know how to wash your hands. If you want to wear a mask in the car, wear a mask in the car. If masks work, then that should be a guarantee of your safety, right? Use your hand sanitizer, do all that stuff. Do whatever it is you feel comfortable doing. But large groups of determined people could have a voter rally, gathering in a parking space, loading up the cars, and going en masse. Be alert. Get your head out of your phone, get your eyes moving. Listen, hear what's going on around you. If you hear shouting and screaming and things like that, that should get your attention. Examine the whole area, know what's going on. It's something that I didn't think about before that I wanted to mention in the last video, and maybe I did. I don't recall if I did or not. But you want to choose the safest polling place you have available to you. You don't have to vote in one particular place. You can vote as long as it's in your district. You can vote in any number of places. And admittedly, there are places that are more secure than other places. Choose that one. Do your recon now. Know where. Obviously, there's early voting in a lot of places. If you want to early vote now and you're going to that place, all of these things still apply. All of those violent events that could happen no matter what. So what I'm encouraging you to do is, whether you early vote at a polling location or you go on election day, which is tradition for a lot of folks, and I understand why, do the groups if you can. Find the safest polling place that you can and go to that one. Go together and leave together. Be alert, be aware, get your head and eyes moving and listen. Choose the safest polling place to vote. And then Miss D asked this question. Since I don't own a gun, how do I protect myself if rioters attack my car or home or business? Now, since you don't own a gun, now's probably a difficult time to get a gun. If you're a person that says, man, I wish I had a gun, why did I wait so long? If you only knew, if I had a nickel for every single person who has called me, texted me, sent me direct messages, excuse me, all of those things, as it gets closer, the number gets higher. If I had a nickel for every single one, my goodness, I would be a rich man. Well, let me just tell you this. If you don't have a gun now, it's probably going to be difficult for you to get. But let's talk about that in case that you are able to secure a firearm. If you're a person that can handle that responsibility well. Shotguns are amazing. The learning curve is very short. Yes, people are afraid of them. They're afraid of them because of what they call kick. We call that recoil. You don't need to be concerned or afraid about that. That's the firearm doing what it does. Find somebody that can teach you near where you live, that's familiar with firearms, that's safe with firearms, that can teach you. A shotgun of any gauge, 20 gauge, 12 gauge, any of those, it can be a very effective deterrent, and it fires, and you fire in a direction. Now, that's more for home defense. You don't necessarily want to leave your home with that. That being said, let's say, as Miss D asked, if I don't have a gun, and I'm probably not going to be a person that has a gun, how do I, if I get attacked in my car, my home, or my business, what are some things I can do? Pepper mace. Look, if you're not a gun person, but you think you might be a pepper mace person, listen, you could absolutely get the biggest, baddest container of pepper mace that you can get. There's lots of places that sell them. Buy several. Keep them by every point of entry and exit of your home. Keep 2 or 3 in your car. Keep them in your pocketbook or shoulder bag or your backpack, whatever it is you carry. Keep them on you and know how they work. Let's say you can't get that for whatever reason. Wasp spray. Home Depot, Lowe's, your local hardware store, any of those types of places. But the really powerful stuff, if it shoots 20 or 30 feet to kill wasps, guess what? That same thing will work on a human being. You say, gosh, that sounds terrible. Listen, if they're going to attack you, you have to understand that you're fighting for your life, because once they get you down, they're going to kill you. You are in fear of your life, and if you're not in fear of your life, you are naive or stupid, and there's nothing worse than being stupid, unless you're ugly and stupid. Nothing worse than being ugly and stupid. Trust me, I would know. So you want to think about wasp spray. Okay, so maybe wasp spray isn't your thing. Maybe you have lots and lots of bleach from putting all that crap on your hands because you were afraid COVID's going to come through the glass of your cars and windows and all that stuff. You're going to do all that. You got lots and lots of bleach. Or maybe you're just a clean freak. Guess what? You can transition that bleach in one of those pump sprayers that you use in your garden. Like, remember the bug people? You pump them up, right? You pour the solution in, you pump them up, you get them real tight, pump them up, you turn that handle down and turn it, and then you have that little wand with that little trigger. Listen, if you fill one of those or a few of those full of bleach that you can get for $1, $2 at the Dollar General or wherever store you're gonna go, get a bunch of those. If you get that and you spray that at the eyes and just under the chin, you start at their eyes and you go back and forth like this. If you do that and you hit them sufficiently with that, trust me, they are no longer going to want to fight. They're going to have a hard time breathing. They're definitely not going to be able to see, and they're going to want to run. You don't ask them if they're okay. You get them away from you, or you get away from them if it's possible. That's what you do. Now look, remember what I said. Going back to the first video that we did, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is so long. Geez, oh Pete, 36 minutes, oh, I'm gonna die. We're a microwave generation. Invest the time. The things that I talk about in that video are critically important to this conversation because you need to have already made up your mind. If you don't want to be a victim, that's what you need to do. So Miss N asked, if I accidentally end up stopped in traffic due to rioters, what should I do? That is a phenomenal question. Number one, Waze, W-A-Z-E. If you have a cell phone, a smartphone, download Waze. Waze is a mapping, it's a real-time mapping system. And what that does is it gives people, individuals, the opportunity to put in information. Hey, there's a blockage up here. Hey, there's a choke point over here. Hey, there's police activity. Hey, there's rioters over here. This road is shut down. Don't come this way, right? So you want to get that, familiarize yourself with that. You still have time to do that. Plan your route. I can't say this more vigorously. As an executive protection professional, that's one of the things you do. You plan strategic diversion of routes. You plan multiple routes. If this happens, then I go here. If that's not available to me, then I go over this other one. You want to think about the way that you go. Look, you say, I can't do that for the rest of my life. I'm not asking you to do it for the rest of your life. I'm asking you to do it during this time, which will not be a period of unrest. It will not be civil unrest. It will not be anything like that. It is going to be chaotic, and it is going to be something the likes of which you've never seen in your life personally. I have. I've been in countries that were literally falling apart. I want you to understand how that goes. I want you to be prepared for that. That's why I'm taking the time to do the video. That's why this world-renowned photographer is shooting this video, and why the family that owns this home has allowed me to do this video in their beautiful home. That's why it's that important. If I end up stopped in traffic due to riders, what should I do? Plan your route, look for choke points. What are choke points? Choke points are construction areas, or by the very nature of the design, where you are put down into one very small area. Wall on this side, wall on this side, building on this side, building on this side, impenetrable on either side, no place to go around. That's where rioters and attackers like to go. That's where the terrorists like to attack, because you can't get away. Look for those and avoid them. Have alternatives. Keep your windows up. If you heard nothing else today, if you stop the video at this point, do not stop your car. Don't stop your car. They depend on you stopping, because why? Normal good people, which they are not, normal good people don't want to hurt another human being with their vehicle. They want to stop. They want to say, hey, what's going on here? Why are you doing this? Don't engage in conversation. Skinny pedal on the right. Keep moving. Keep your windows up. Don't stop. Honk and drive. Lay into your horn. Skinny pedal on the right. That's your gas pedal. Keep moving and do not stop. Keep going. Drive away. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? If there are human beings in front of you, you may have to drive away from them. Listen, if you haven't dealt with the idea of taking a 5,000-pound vehicle and driving over a human being that intends to do you harm, you say, well, how will I know? Anyone out there now at this stage is not a protester. They are a rioter. And if you are in fear for your life, you're right to fear that way. You're right to feel that way. Hey, Jerry asked this question. You encounter Antifa or BLM, both terrorist organizations, attempting to interfere with or prevent you from voting. What do? Remember, voter rally, like the Trump rallies. Voter rally. Get together with your friends, your like-minded individuals. Gather in great numbers. Go to that polling, the safest polling location you have available to you. Go together. Vote together, leave together. Be alert as you get closer to the polling place, as you're driving there. Look around, know the routes, know which way you're going, know alternatives, just like I just said. Know what you're gonna do if you encounter a problem, right? Then you get to the voter place, your little voter rally goes, you're not wearing Trump shirts or Biden shirts, whatever your brand is. You are benign, you're dressed benign, you're not making statements, you're quietly and peaceably queuing up in the line, right? Observing whatever social distancing they have, but you're being alert while you're in the line, right? You don't have your head stuck in your phone. You're looking around, you're paying attention. That's what you need to do. Voter rally, meet at one location. It's so easy to do. Find a place that'll hold a lot of cars, get in as few vehicles as you can, go in, back into your spots. Once you get to the voting location, back into your spots, be ready to leave, know where your keys are. Don't be fumbling around for your keys. If you have a key fob and 9,422 keys on your key ring, take the key fob off, put it in your pocket. If you have one of those cars like mine that knows you're walking close to your car, all you have to do is hit the little button and get in, lock the door, and leave. That's what you do. Leave at once, you arrive at once, you vote, and you leave all together. Do not stop for rioters. How about after you vote? I say this with some trepidation because I don't like to be intimidated in any way. Stay at home if you can. If you can stay at home if you can, especially for those first maybe 3 to 5 days after Election Day. Talk to your like-minded neighbors. You've got to know how many exits and entry points you have into your neighborhood. What are the weak spots? Know how many weak spots you have in your home. Take your yard signs down. You've got to take your yard signs down. That is not an infringement on your First Amendment rights. You're not being a chicken, you're being prepared. Because once you've voted, everything else is moot. Take your signs down. Have a community watch of like-minded people that you can talk to frankly. Now don't spend a bunch of time talking about how many guns you have, how much ammo you have, how much cool stuff you have in your house. Don't discuss that. Be very generic in your discussion, because you never know who is not for you and who is against you. You've got to know these things. Now, when I say this next thing, you've got to think about the logistics of this. Allow only people who live in or who can state that they are visiting someone in your neighborhood, who they can name the person and their address. Allow only those people in. If you have a one-way in and a one-way out, the photographer that's doing this, world-class guy, there's one way in and one way out of his neighborhood. They're going to block it off. If you don't live there, you don't come there. If you're not visiting someone specific that you can name them and their address, you don't come in. You say, well, that's terrible. Guess what? So is having your house burned down. So is having your children and your wife raped and being assaulted and killed in your own home. You say, well, that won't happen. That's hyperbole. They set fire to a home with 3 small children in it. They set fire to many homes, many businesses. They even put concrete in the locking mechanisms and chained the outside, and then tried to set police precincts on fire. And those are armed people inside. Those are trained people inside. If you don't think they're going to do that in your home, you are naive and you are foolhardy. Now, when you do that, when you talk to your neighbors, as I said, be benign, be generic, but be direct. Don't waste a lot of time. Don't wear all your camo and your fatigues and all your gear and all that stuff. Be very basic. Be Joe Citizen. Be sincere, be direct, be quick about it. Pay attention to who's around there. If somebody doesn't seem like they're exactly on the up and up, pay attention to that. Be wise to that. So what if it's lasting violence? What if it's lasting violence? And I'm just going to tell you, as my dear friend knows this to be the case, we interact with national, federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, regional law enforcement on a regular basis. They are planning and anticipating this. Lasting violence, historic violence. I know, Mr. Hyperbole over here. No, it's absolute. We've talked to police chiefs, we've talked to directors at very high levels federally. I am telling you, they are anticipating this. They're not fooling around. They've got lots of intelligence, lots of intel that points to this. That being said, we have to address this. We have to address the potential for lasting violence. How do we prepare? First of all, food. Food and water. You have to have enough food and water. I'm going to say for at least 30 days. My preference is 60 days because you don't know what's going to happen. You need to be prepared for it. Food and water, 30 to 60 days. Necessities, whatever you deem necessities. Look, when I grew up in the state of Delaware, and boy, if there was a threat of half an inch of snow, all the bread and all the milk and I don't know what all else, cereal, and disappeared, and eggs disappeared from the shelves. That's just what everybody did. Whatever your idea of necessities, you say, well, I can't live without this. Okay, so that might be medicine, your prescriptions. Go to your doctor, call your doctor, and say, hey, I need a 30, 60, 90-day prescription, whatever it is that you need to have in your home, but have the prescription. Ammunition. If you are a firearms person, ammo. Get what you can afford, get it. Get it now, don't wait any longer. Fire extinguishers. Get a fire extinguisher, a very capable fire extinguisher for every point of entry and exit for your home. Have 1 or 2 for your vehicle. Be prepared. A fire extinguisher, barring anything else, a really powerful one, if you're being attacked, sprayed at the eyes, can be very, very effective to help you get away. Not for nothing, if you don't have it, you can't put a fire out. Remember what you learned in elementary school. Spray at the base of the flame. Back and forth, back and forth. Spray at the base of the flame. You can't put a fire out if you don't have a fire extinguisher. Have plenty. Full tanks of fuel in your vehicles. Please, for the love of God, don't let one more day pass where you have a quarter or an eighth of a tank in your car. Well, that'll be fine. I like to run it down. Get your gas now. Fill it all the way up. Then if you have a garage, back into your garage. Close the garage door. Be ready. Be ready and able to pull out, have your keys in a location. If you have to leave for the safety of you and your family, be able to do it instantaneously. Now, if you don't have a garage, back in your driveway. Back as far up in your driveway as you can, where you're not going to encounter a choke point, right? Natural choke points would be a wall or a line of trees or a building. Drive across your yard if you have to get around whatever it is trying to block you, but be backed in so that you can do that. Now, I talked about prescriptions. I don't know that you want to have a big conversation with your doctor about why you're asking for a 90-day or a 60-day or whatever prescription. Just tell them, look, with the election coming up, I'm concerned that I might not be able to get them. And he or she might poo-poo it, but you don't dealing with them. Don't worry about them. The next thing is have door bars and door braces for every exterior door in your home. And maybe you want to have a room that you've chosen. I talked about this last video. Maybe have a room that you've chosen that if you have to have a panic room, that's the one you go to. Door bars and braces, get them. Get them. I talked about them in the last video. I think I specifically identified it. I also put it on social media. Look at my social media, you can look that up. There's still a little bit of time to get those if you have to order them. Not sure about that. Now, Miss Amanda asked what to teach our younger and older children. What do we teach? Maybe your child is 6 years old. What do you teach them? You explain to them, listen, if something happens and you describe what it might be, basically, you stay close to mommy or daddy. Have someone designated. If dad's gonna lead the fight, then you say, go with mommy. This is where you go. You don't ask, you don't grab anything. You have everything ready to go, maybe in a little backpack. You go to that safe room where there's also fire extinguishers. There's no time for questioning. If you need to pick up your child who's asking 341,000 questions, why, you don't have time to answer them peaceably. Pick your child up, get them to safety. Beforehand, explain to them, if this happens, you need to do exactly what mommy or daddy or older brother or older sister say to do. And then you do it. And then if they won't do it, you do it for them. That's number one. You've got to be prepared for that. Now, Karen asks, if I must go out in public, how do I do that as safely as possible? Remember what we said. Groups, groups, groups. Remember what the predator looks for, right? Out in the wild, the predator, the lion, the jackal, whatever the predator is, he looks for the prey that is weak and alone, the one that gets separated, right? You see packs of lions or tigers, they hunt. They try to separate the smaller, the weaker, the naive from the pack. A lot of that's going on is all about separating the weak, the slow, or the naive from the pack. Don't be that person. Be in the group and stay with the group. That is what you absolutely must do. Now, next thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go through it quickly. I don't have time in this video because people will whine it's too long. What do I do if I shoot someone or display? Wes asked this question. What do I do if I shoot someone or display my firearm? secondcalldefense.org. Write this number down, 20630. That's a referral number. They're going to give you a free month if you give them that number. Who doesn't want a free month? What do I do if I shoot someone or I display my firearm? Deep breath. If you display your firearm and the risk goes away, the threat goes away, if you squeeze that trigger and you shoot someone, take a deep breath. Most of you have never shot or killed someone. You're going to be breathing very shallow and very quickly. You want to catch your breath. Oxygen is life. Then T. Think things through. Scan left or right or behind for other threats. Don't assume that this one person, remember what the pack of predators do. They try to get you separated, try to get you alone. They try to isolate you, and then they try to take you down. Don't think that person you just shot is the only threat. Look around, left, right, and behind. Say nothing. If there are people around, say nothing to them. Make no statements to anyone standing around. Call 911. That's your first call, 911. Now I'm going to read this to you what you say. This is your second call defense card. You can still get it today. They will send you a bunch of this stuff in downloadable format. They'll send you in printed form. You'll get this card. This will be printed on the card. There'll be lessons and classes and all these things that come with your membership. I'm going to read this verbatim. This is what I want you to do in the event of a shooting. This is secondcalldefense.org, number 20630. You get a free month. If it's just like fire insurance, if you try calling them or going online when you've got the gun in your hand and the smoke is coming from it, it's too late. When your house is on fire, you can't get fire insurance. It's too late. You need to do it today. You call 911. That's your first step. There's been a shooting. This is what you say. You don't vary from this. You say only this. Remember what I said. Deep breaths. Think things through. You're going to be sweating. Your heart rate's going to be faster than it's ever been. You're going to feel weak. You will be in a physical trauma. Think things through. Read the card verbatim. You call 911. There has been a shooting. The person attacked me. I was in fear for my life. Send an ambulance and law enforcement. My name is Dr. Sean Michael Greener. I'm located at Umpty Squat. My phone number is blah, blah, blah. Do not give more details. You are being recorded. The moment you touch that second one of 911, the recording starts. Not when they pick up the phone. The recording starts the very second you hit that one. That's how Enhanced 911 works. Do not give more details. You're being recorded and you're too upset to talk. Your next step is to call the emergency hotline. Now, I can't give you that hotline because it's only for members of Second Call Defense. Number 20630. That gets you your free month. You'll speak to a staff attorney. You'll be reminded how to respond to questioning. You will be instructed to not make any statements until you speak to your own attorney. If arrested, we will arrange bail. If pressed to talk about the shooting, say, "Officer, you will have my complete cooperation after I've spoken to my attorney. Until then, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent." I cannot emphasize this more sincerely. You've got to do that. I cannot emphasize more sincerely, do not give more details. Don't do it. Now, I'm going to summarize this. This is the end of it, so don't panic. Law enforcement cannot protect you. This is not a ding on law enforcement. I'm not impugning law enforcement's capabilities or intent. I love law enforcement. I was law enforcement. I have some of my dearest friends are law enforcement, both retired and active, federal, local, regional. I love them. Thin blue line means something personal to me. I've lost friends that are police officers. They cannot protect you, folks. They can't protect you. There's no means by which they can protect you. Listen, they want to, but they're not empowered to do that. You cannot talk to rioters. Stop thinking you can talk sense into them. It's a natural response to do it, but don't do it. Everyone protesting at this stage is a rioter, and they intend to do you harm. They don't care about you. They don't care about your BLM shirt or your BLM flag. They don't care about your bumper sticker. They don't care about your yard sign. They don't care. That's not going to stop them. Be vigilant. I'll say this one more time as I close. Law enforcement at all levels is expecting historic violence across this country. If you can stay out of cities, stay out. But if you think the only danger is a city, you're wrong. Everywhere, you need to be vigilant. The final thing I'm going to say is pray. Pray. If you're a person of a faith, pray. Because you know what? This will be the most important election of your lifetime. Thank you for joining me. Remember, secondcalldefense.org. The number to give them for a free month is 20630. When you do that, you'll also have me personally to help you if you have any problems, which I do on a daily basis. go to executiveprotectionteam.com. That'll tell you who I am and what I'm about. Thank you. Please share this video today. God bless you, and God bless America.